This is the SpaRetailer Podcast, where we talk retail, business, and all things related to the hot tub industry. I'm your host, Megan Kendrick, owner of SpaRetailer Magazine. Back on the SpaRetailer Podcast today, I have Shawna Mesher, Director of Sales and Marketing at Evasis. Welcome back to the podcast, Shawna.
Hi, Megan. I'm excited to be here.
So Shawna and I were just together we were at the Watkins dealer event last week, and so yeah, we've had a lot of togetherness. 'Tis the trade show season.
I know normally that's not the case, so it's nice to see you again so close together.
I know, yeah. So Shawna came on the podcast before, and one thing that she said that really stuck out to me, she was talking about when she worked at Oregon Hot Tub, how they put together a Black Friday event. And I know that, as sales have cooled off since the pandemic, that everybody is thinking about, what are some events that we can do? What are some promotions that we can do? How can we get in front of more people? And so I thought it would be good to have her back on just to talk about events in general, how to run a good one, and, how to try to get in front of some of those people that aren't going to walk into your store. Thanks for coming on to chat with me about that.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm excited to have this conversation because I think that in the hot tub industry, sometimes we don't focus on events as much as we should. In my background prior to specialty retail was big box retail. I worked for
Mm,
Nordstrom for a really long time in the beauty industry. And so events really were make or break for my business and my book of business. People would walk in daily and buy what they needed. But if you wanted to really hit a high ASP, you had to have events to drive people in to make those big purchases that they weren't intending to on day to day. So I have a passion for events. I have a passion for building excitement around events. And Black Friday, particularly, was something I really honed in on in the hot tub industry because nobody was doing it. It's
yeah, I
just
still don't see a ton of Black Friday sales and events in our industry for sure. And it does feel a little bit like a missed opportunity. Like, especially when you get into there's Black Friday, but also, Small Business Saturday. And people really get out. They really get out in their community and want to see, what the deals are, what the sales are. I, for one, try to have most of my Christmas shopping knocked out like, that week and that weekend so that I can be done with it and begin the ever-ending wrapping process. So,
it's so true. And it's funny because as I've been on this side and in the software and technology space, I've gotten the opportunity to talk to a lot of dealers and we have conversation around different things, but I've asked a lot of people, how was your Black Friday last year and how did things go? And the answer I get over and over again is, yeah, we don't really do much for Black Friday because everybody already has their eyes on big box retailers and we just don't have a lot of space there. We don't have a lot of opportunity there. And I just disagree so much. I disagree because I've done it. I've seen it year after year. It wasn't a fluke thing. It was something that we really built a lot of revenue on. And my last year in the industry, we did $1 million in a weekend. And it wasn't because people were flooding in the door excited to buy hot tubs randomly, you know, it's because we built a lot of excitement around it. So I can absolutely give a few tips and tricks around building a strong Black Friday. And I think it is kind of the same for the rest of the year.
for
But
sure.
Black Friday and Memorial Day, Labor Day, those large holiday sales weekends in specialty retail, we have to work really, really hard to gain market share because if people aren't spending money with you, they are spending money elsewhere. It's not like they're just keeping that money in their pocket. They're going to spend it somewhere else and they're going to spend it with whoever builds the most excitement and fear of loss. So
Yeah.
that's something that I really am passionate about is asking that question, how are you building fear of loss and did you create a reason to buy today? And if
hmm
the answer as a salesperson is no, then you did not do your job effectively. That is a huge part of your job.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially for such a big ticket item like a hot tub, I know that myself as a consumer, if I have something really large that I need to buy that I don't need within a certain time frame, I will wait. I will wait until there is a sale. I will wait until there is a quote unquote deal, whether it's, Black Friday or something else. Like I'll pay attention for a while, and there's lots of tools online that help you do that now. And I mean, I just think that that's the way a lot of people shop, especially when it's, we don't need this hot tub in our backyard by a certain date. Why wouldn't you wait until you kind of felt like you were getting the best deal, and it was the best time to buy? I feel like we're kind of conditioned to do that.
Yeah, we are. And I think as retailers, we have a challenge. We have a challenge to create urgency every day. There should be a sale going on a Tuesday afternoon. Your salespeople should have incentive and reason to push them over the edge every day. And sometimes that's price driven, sometimes that's, unit driven, sometimes that's accessory driven. It just depends on what motivates the buyer, and you have to have good salespeople to know how to figure that out. There's a lot of, questions to ask and ways to dig into that, but you have to have urgency and reason to buy every single day. But for the people that you can't close on that random Tuesday and that are upfront and tell you, we're gonna think about it, right? That's AKA we're not buying today. We're not gonna actually think about it. We're waiting for a better opportunity is what they're telling you.
Hmm.
What I really encourage people, especially around those kind of sales holidays, is make sure that your salespeople know that those are times in your company where you provide better incentive. Those are times in your company where you will do a bigger discount, and that discount is only good for that time. It's not a call to the owner or the manager on that next Tuesday morning saying, my customer came in this weekend, they didn't buy. Is there any way we can extend the deal? Like the answer is no. The deal is only during this specific time. And you
Yeah.
have to do that. We have to condition our salespeople on how to sell. We also have to condition the customers on how to engage with us and what to expect. So for Black Friday particularly, I was really big on setting the stage early on, months and weeks ahead of time, that Black Friday is a huge sales event for us. You have a huge opportunity to make a lot of money over this weekend and to hit huge numbers that you never imagined were possible. But it's all in the planning. All of these events are in the planning and in getting your salespeople excited.
Yeah.
Excitement. I always say that the sales are not for the consumer, the sales are for the employees.
Oh, that's such a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, so you got to get your salespeople excited. If they don't close people, make sure you have a way to capture those estimates. Obviously, I work in software, so I believe there's a great potential and options within most any software, I would hope, where you can
Hmm.
build an estimate out with a date and you can keep track of those people you didn't close. And then a huge tool that I hope anyone's software has is the ability to put a card on file or a payment method on file. Because especially around Black Friday and Thanksgiving, no one wants to talk to a hot tub salesperson over the phone on Thanksgiving morning. They have other things to be doing than thinking about the
Right.
hot tub that they
Right.
aren't going to have in their backyard for a little while. So I was really passionate about get your salespeople excited. And the questions they're going to ask the customer that hasn't bought yet are, you know, Megan, I'm just curious. Black Friday is a huge sales event. We have insane deals, huge discounts. I know you're not quite ready to buy and price is really important to you, but I am wondering, is color an issue for you at all? Are you flexible on the color? And if so, what colors are you willing to take and what colors are you not willing to take? And ask that really straightforward question, let them answer and take note of it in their account. And then once you have that information, ask them, like, if there's a really good deal on an Aria or on a J335 in the colors that you listed, would you want it? Would you be willing to put a 50% deposit down on that hot tub to secure it?
Ew, yeah.
Um, and the answer is yes or no. And if the answer is yes, I need your card on file because these hot tubs go so fast. I'm telling you, we will sell out of all of our in stock hot tubs by Thursday morning. So there's not time to talk over the phone about it and go back and forth. It's a text to you saying, "Hey, Megan, I have the Aria in ice gray, coastal gray that you wanted, deposits, $10,000. I have your card on file. I'm going to run it and I'm going to send you the paperwork. So it really is just a super quick
Yeah.
text or like, got your hot tub in gray, receipt coming.
I
Um,
love that. That's such a great idea because it's like 'cause it's not a, well, hey, we've got some great Black Friday deals. If you're not going to buy today, come back then. It's like you're still kind of making the sale that day, you know?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, write up the paperwork as if you're writing up the sale that day. It also creates sales is all about human psychology, and it also creates just a mental note in their head that this is real. When something is
Hmm.
in writing, it feels real, it feels concrete. And so it is a really important step that shouldn't be skipped. So write up the paperwork as if you're taking the order today. Don't put a color on it, don't put a date on it. And then you can text your customer and say, hey, paperwork's done. You got your gray Aria. Congratulations.
Yeah.
This was the price and I've taken a deposit and I just need your signature by tomorrow and just email it over to them or have them respond to your email saying they agree. Make it as easy as you can for the customer because like we talked about earlier, these big box retailers, you don't know what deals they're going to have and you're on
Hmm.
the Target app and you're looking at these all these other things because you have to buy your kids gifts and your grandkids gifts and make sure that you're getting, the Pokemon, special pack that the kid really
Uh-huh.
wants. You
Uh-huh.
can't be thinking about this hot tub. It has to be as hands off as humanly possible and
Right.
good salespeople can execute on that really well.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to the beginning because this is something that has obviously been a thing for a while, but for whatever reason, I am only starting to realize it. The idea of literally having a sale every week or whatever it is that like every day you have that reason to get people to buy. I mean, kind of how do you plan that out and how do you do it so that the customer doesn't that it still creates that urgency? Because I feel like there are those places where they're always going to have a sale and it's always going to be the same and it doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you when you go. You know what I mean? So how do you
Yeah.
set it up so that they are different, they are providing value that hit those certain, not pain points, but those certain like catchphrases or reasons why certain people will latch on to something. How do you kind of
Yeah.
manage that part of it?
That's such a good question. And I always think of like, not to point anybody out, but like the mattress industry. The mattress industry is something where I'm like, well, it's always on sale. They either
Hmm.
have a 0% financing offer all the time that's posted on their windows, or they have, buy this size and we'll upgrade you to this other size for free. So I know as a consumer that there's always wiggle room and there's
Yeah.
no urgency for me to buy because they're not creating fear of loss. How do you create fear of loss around your product? For me, I had really specific strategy to do that, and on the weekend it was a sale of sorts. You always have to put a number on it. There always has to be 5 of this or for the first 10 buyers,
Got
this is
it.
the offer. It's got to be either that, if it's like a custom order scenario, or something that's truly in stock. So I would use the in stock model. I would also use it's on a truck approach. So I
Sure.
have a truckload of 12 spas, or I have a spot on a truck. On Wednesdays, we do our purchasing for the company. Every Wednesday, we purchase a truckload of spas. When we order in a bulk truckload, we get a discount as a company. So we are passing that discount on to you. We have 2 spots left on that truck to fill. If you can fill one of those spots, you will get free X, Y, and Z, a lifter, a step, ozone, whatever your company
Yeah.
offers. Obviously, it's built into the price. So you have to think about that and make sure that it is built into the price. Or you guys, if your company hasn't built those things into the price, do it yourself. I did that all the time. It's like, here's the price of the hot tub, add the price of those accessories on, and here's the value of the hot tub, and you're getting these things for free, this price. So you got to be creative. You got to take ownership over your own business as a salesperson. And as owners, we have to empower our salespeople to come up with those creative solutions on their own. And if they can't, that's when we can provide the deal and the sale for them. But yeah, it's I've got a spot left on the truck that works really well on the weekdays because they know that your purchasing manager works on the weekdays and she orders
Right.
on Tuesday mornings or Thursday mornings, and I've got to have your paperwork and deposit in by then before she orders the truck. And the other thing that I would use on weekdays particularly was accessory packages. I was a big fan of that. And I
Mhm.
actually laminated little cards that said like gold accessory package, and it had listed out the accessories you were getting with the value. And I would hold up like two of them that I had. And I was like, we had a sale this weekend. We didn't go through all of our accessory packages. We have two left, or these actually sold and their financing fell through. So we have two that just came available. Normally, we're not allowed to extend those deals, but those orders were already written up and in the system. So, if you can take one of those spots of one of those people whose financing declined or didn't go
Yeah.
through, then we can give this to you. So it's not about we have $1,500 off today ever. Like that is it's a bit of a cop out to
Mhm.
just say like we have this discount for you because consumers are smart. We've trained them to say like, well, if you can offer that to me today, you can surely offer that to me next week. And don't ever put the onus on yourself. I think that's what the car industry has, for some reason, taught us. Like, well, if I could do this for you and let me see what I can do, and you have nothing to do with it. If
Yeah.
you have something to do with it, then it's all bogus and the prices are fake. It's
Mhm.
let me see what sort of manufacturer incentives there are. Let me see what the company has to offer. Let me see like that sort of stuff. So because you don't ever want to put yourself against the customer, you always want to be side by side with them, advocating for them and working to get them the best value for their money. So don't sit across the table from them figuratively or physically. Like put yourselves next to them.
Man, I had never thought of it like that before, but that is so true. And I'm not sure, I mean, buying a car is one of the worst experiences of your life ever. It
Unfortunately.
is always the absolute worst. I mean, forget the fact, I mean, anyway, we don't need to go into that.
So true.
But that's one of the reasons why, and I had never thought of it like that. But you're right. It's like, yeah, the what can I do for you situation. And then, but then it's like, then they got to run it up the flagpole 15 times. And you're like, why am I sitting in your office for hours? This is stupid.
And who's this imaginary person that you're talking to? Like,
Right.
and why can't they just come talk to me? Why is this so
100%.
difficult?
Yes, absolutely. The absolute worst. But I also like the idea though of saying I like the change in the thought process of like your business as a salesperson and thinking about your sales as your personal business and how are you going to take care of that. Because yeah, you hope you work for a company where the ownership and the managers are proactive in helping you do these things and you provide you those resources, but sometimes you're not. And so you're
Mhm.
right. You have to think about as your own business because that is the way. I mean, the majority of people are on commission. Like it is your business. Like that is how you are making your money. You can't like sit around and wait for someone else to figure it out for you.
And if that's what you wanted, you wouldn't be in sales. Like you
Right.
would be working banking hours, right? Like there are easier things in the world to do than to work in sales, much less specialty retail, big ticket luxury sales. Like
Right.
that's a tough job. You're doing it because you want to make a solid income for yourself and for your family. So take the wheel and build the business for yourself. And that's what we've seen. I mean, we all listening to this have seen people have great success in the industry. And it's not because they're running to their manager asking what they can do or asking for what the special is. It's because they're taking the playbook and writing their own rules based off of the parameters and the guidelines that your company has given you. But just because the price is something doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. Like, there's always MSR, there's always something else. There's always a creative way to create fear of loss. And I was a big fan. I mean, we had at the end 9 locations. So it's not like we were a one store. Oftentimes people would call one store and then call another store and call another
Mm-hmm.
store. So
Mm-hmm.
I was a really big fan of making sure that me and my, other store mates were always on the same page and saying the same thing and just making sure that you're asking more questions than giving information.
Yeah.
Um,
In a situation like that where you do have someone calling from store to store, I mean, can software help you so you don't get kind of, trapped in that where it's like,
yeah.
"Oh, I didn't know that they told you that. So here I am telling you something different." It's like, "No, no, no, this is the deal, I promise."
Totally, yeah. Software, CRM, and common sense are like the 3 most important things in that scenario. You have to slow down. Software is really helpful, making sure that your business has processes in place to capture leads. What are your rules as a company when a lead comes in? How do you track that? All of that. I mean, I have so many thoughts on that topic, but making sure you have processes. And then when somebody calls, I the first thing you do is look at the phone before you answer and type in the phone number into your CRM or your ERP system and see if they're in there. Pull it up. If they are, then you know. Of course, you're not gonna
Mhm.
tell the customer on the phone that you know, but at least you have a little bit of insight, and if they're not there, then start asking them questions. They're asking you questions, you should be able to do the same, and when they're like, "Hey, I'm looking at this hot tub on your website. How much is it?" Man, that's such a good question. It really depends. Where do you live? Where are you having this delivered to? Are
Mhm.
colors important to you? What sort of accessories are you thinking? Like, just ask and ask and ask and ask, and if they're like finally like, "What is the price?" Well, the price starts at this, but again, it really depends on your timing. There's a lot of factors. Occasionally there's incentives and things that are on top of that pricing, and I'd love to have a further conversation with you. Would you like to come
Yeah.
in and I can schedule you an appointment, or would you like to have a virtual appointment with me? And just move them towards the next step instead of just like, "Well, the price is 15,995 and it's on sale today for 13,995." Cool. Now what? They're not gonna give you their credit card right there, so what did you just do? I
Yeah,
always
exactly.
I had a really, really great veteran salesperson who has taken a lot of courses, and he would always say to new employees, he's like, "Don't spill your candy in the lobby. You gotta hold on to it." And that was his way of saying, like, "Don't just give all the deals and discounts up front. Like, you gotta hold on to those in your back pocket for when they're meaningful."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So, when a dealer is planning an offsite event in particular, I mean, about how far in advance are you scheduling those and kind of what needs to happen before you show up with hot tubs to make it successful?
yeah, that's a really good question. So, offsite events are definitely can be tricky
Right.
because they're not something that our industry has helped us master. So, a couple of things about offsite events. One, you have to pick your location really strategically for what you're wanting to get out of it, right? And I think it all starts with looking at the ROI. You need to understand what type of clientele you're going after. And if you are going to do an offsite event, I would really hope that your intention is to find people that would never come into your store.
Right.
That's why if you're, a luxury dealer that sells health and wellness and high end, all of that, going to a fair or something of that nature is probably a good approach because the people going to like a county fair are likely not the same people coming into your showroom. Or if your showroom is in like a major metropolitan area, and for me, I'm on the West Coast, the beach is like 2 to 3 hours away. An offsite event at the beach would be fantastic because those people want hot tubs, but they don't want to drive 2 or 3 hours to come into a showroom. So really think thoughtfully about where you're hosting these events. Make sure, of course, that they're in your territory, all those rules, but go out and try to find the people that would never make it into your showroom. You should plan them ideally like a year in advance or so, unless you just have like a really cool parking lot that's on a major highway that you can, rent some space from and you know the guy that owns the parking lot. Then you can do that a lot faster, but
Sure.
we don't all have those connections. So, if you don't, you should plan about a year in advance. Right now, you should be planning probably for the end of 25, early 26, and thinking through making it easy. How do you plan to make it easy for someone to purchase from you at one of these shows? Do you have the right model mix on your floor? If you only have room for a few hot tubs, are you showing your top selling ones? Do you have a really good, price variance between all of them? Do you have a plug and play option for the people that walk by and they're like, "We've always wanted a hot tub, but we don't have electrical." Great,
Yeah.
I have an awesome option for you. And I have an option for you in more of our value collection. And then I have an option for you in more of our, higher end. Those aren't the words, but in our higher
Right.
end collection. And you don't have to settle if you don't have electrical. So thinking through all of that, again, not to preach software too much, but software can help with that. You have the option of pulling a lot of reports. In our software, for instance, there's a report called best selling SKUs where you can look at SKUs by location and see what sort of locations sell what types of SKUs. So you make sure that, I always say you have the data, but then you got to do the gut check. So start with the data and then do the gut check for yourself and ask if that's really reality. And between those two things, you'll have the right answer. But those are my kind of initial thoughts on offsite events, Megan. And additionally, how do you plan to take payment? How do you plan to write up the deal? Because going back to the buying a car experience,
Mhm.
you do not want to be those people. You do not want to be the people that sit the customer down, hold them hostage for an hour while you slowly write all the information and the order and the pre-delivery checklist and the card inform. It's just goes on and on and on. So
Right, and then they're gonna take my card and they're gonna use their little machine and, back and forth, and so there's a copy of my credit card for anybody to see for this $15,000 purchase I just made, like, oh boy,
totally.
that makes me so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable. So have again, there's like a balance of technology and paper. I believe it's a harmony kind of thing. Make sure that you have an iPad or a computer or something that's on a hotspot, has reliable internet. And with our software, for instance, put their payment method on file, put their card on file. It's totally encrypted, it's tokenized, nobody can ever see it again, but it's on their profile. You can take the deposit with it, and then when it's time to actually deliver the big ticket item, take the final payment with their payment on file. Then they're on a water care plan, you get the point. Like you can use that
Yeah,
card forever and it's totally secure. And then you can put that sales order into the system right there really quickly. But I encourage everybody to just gather the information that you need from them right there and then set up the next steps really clearly with them. Okay, Megan, congratulations. So excited that you secured your hot tub. I know there's so much to see at this fair and you guys need to get going. It's going to take like 3 or 4 minutes, super quick. I'm going to grab your card, put it on file for you for your deposit, grab all of your basic information, the hot tub, the color. I'll make sure that that's reserved in our system with a serial number attached to it. And then when you get home this evening, you're going to have an email from me and it's going to have a pre-delivery guide and a pre-delivery checklist. If you could go home this evening and just take a couple of pictures of your gate, the place that it's going to land, email those back to me with that pre-delivery checklist filled out. That will be kind of your ticket into the show. That'll be your confirmation. Once I get that back from you, then I can schedule your delivery and get you soaking pretty soon. How does that sound?
yeah,
Um, and it's fast. It literally should only take you a couple minutes to grab basic information and a card on file and then get them on their way. Like leave
yeah.
them on a high note, excited and like, "Oh my gosh, that she made that so easy for us. I thought this was going to be such a painful experience and it wasn't." So,
Yeah.
let's go get a coffee and be on with our day.
Yeah, and I imagine too for an offsite event, and again, it's gonna depend on, like, a lot of the factors that we've already talked about, sort of like kind of what your offer is, like, are you doing custom orders? Are you doing only things in stock and all of that? But I imagine that you can probably do a lot of that, legwork ahead of time too, so that when someone shows up, you're not building that on the fly in whatever your system is. It's kind of already done for that event, and it's like, "Let me pull up the order for if you're selling like in stock stuff. Let me pull up the information for that one and it's done. Like you're
Yeah.
signing it and we're like on the way. I mean, it seems like you could do a lot of that legwork ahead of time too, just to again make the process as fast as possible. And yeah, like you said, in and out, happy, no stress.
Yeah, make sure that if you're selling, hot tubs or pools or things like that, that the serial numbers are in your system. They're received. They're in there. They can be attached to an order. That's just part of the process. If you're building out, let's say doing custom orders and we're doing that whole truckload special thing we talked
Right.
about, that that you have an idea of what you can order, right? You're just thinking through all of those things, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It shouldn't be complicated. It has to be easy enough for your salespeople to remember what the deal is, what the process is. And that's why I'm just a big fan of having physical things to show and tell the story. Have physical accessory packages on laminated paper printed. And then
Yeah.
when you close that deal and that person signs up to buy with you, I've got that laminated paper with it. I've got my paperwork and I'm putting their card on file via the internet into the software and you're good. You're not trying to remember, gosh, what offer did I offer them and what deal did I give them? It's just it's rehearsed and it's practice, and I think if we could learn anything from sports, I'm not a big sports girl, but I do know that they practice a lot. And they don't run plays for the first time at the game. So, if we could learn anything in sales from, football, sports, they all do that, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So,
Practice. Yeah. Practice every day and run your plays before you are, before you're on the
yep.
court or on the field.
Totally. Don't practice there. Don't practice during the game because 'cause you're gonna fail. It won't be good. So
That's amazing. Are there any kind of like things that you say that you're just like, absolutely do not do this? Like if you're doing an offsite event, like do not do this one thing or five things, or what are some kind
yes.
of common pitfalls that you see people do?
Yeah. Don't bring everything you sell just because you like it and you wanna push it and you wanna make a, you know, revenue source out of it. If it's not a revenue source now in your showrooms and you're doing all the right things, don't think that it's going to be at an offsite event. You've spent a ton of money and a ton of resource to be there. So just rely on your tried and true things. Don't try to launch a new product there. That's one thing that I see a lot. Don't test out salespeople there. There are some salespeople that aren't what I call hole-in-one closers. They're the
Hmm.
people who love to follow up. They love to, "Let me make you a quote, and let me come out to your house, and let's really talk about this a lot." You
Yeah.
don't want those people at a show. They do well in a showroom because they build relationships and they're just more nurturing in that way. At a show, you want people who can build relationship quickly, who can communicate with people effectively, and who don't like following up. I was a great show seller because I hated following up. I just want to be on to the next thing. I
Hmm.
don't it's not my way. I like to close it. I like to take something off their to-do list. I like to take something off my to-do list and I like to move on. And so you got to identify your people. Just because someone's a great seller in your showroom and puts up good numbers doesn't mean they're a good offsite event seller. And that's a
That's a
hard
really
conversation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something that got brought up in one of the sessions that I sat in on this last week was I mean, in this case, they were talking about, bringing in people who are do shows. And I know that there's some discomfort out there with people with doing that and sometimes the hired gun thing can go wrong or they're just not the right like fit for your company, but there are good ones out there.
Yeah.
And it's like and it is a completely different way of selling. It's supposed to be different than your normal customer too, right? Like you're
Mhm.
looking for those people who aren't going to come into your showroom. And so it's just not going to be this, like you said, it's not the same as trying to go through your whole sales process that you do in your showroom with someone who has come in, wanting to be there. Like this is just a completely different way of doing it. And yeah, it kind of clicked a lot for me sitting in that and then listening to you talk about it where it's like, yeah, you can't just send anyone out there. Like there's not some people are built for that kind of sale from that kind of
Yeah, and there's so much that goes into it, right? Like, oh my gosh, the things that I've seen over the years, it's a different type of seller and you also have to be conditioned to be in those conditions, right? Like you're
true.
eating
Yeah.
fair food, it's totally disgusting. You probably drank 2 bottles of water because you've been talking to people all day and haven't had a chance. You go to the restroom once, like you're there
You're on
from
the feet the
all
entire
day.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, you're working from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., bell to bell. Like, you also have to be conditioned to be able to do that and excited to do that with a smile on your face the full
Yes.
12 hours.
Yes. Oh man,
And
because you can tell the people who do not want to be there, where it's like, this is, I did not sign up for this.
yeah, right. Haven't you ever had an interaction with somebody and you're like, wow, they don't like their job?
100%. Oh, and at those kinds of events all the time. It's like you'll walk by a booth where someone is just like pumped, they're having a great time, they love it. You go through the next booth and there's someone who's like on their phone, they won't make eye contact, they won't stand up. Like they've
Mhm.
got yeah, they've got their like lunch on the thing and they're totally checked out. Like I do not want to talk to another person.
Totally. And again, I come from like Nordstrom retail where you're not allowed to have water bottles on the floor. You're wearing heels all day on tile floors. There are no chairs. Are you kidding? There's no food on the floor. Like there are very strict rules. And so I'm kind of conditioned to be that type of person. And I can't do it every day all the time, but I can thrive in that environment. And there's some people that either can't or don't want to. And both options is totally fine because that's not
Yeah,
the job they signed up for. So don't expect them to be really good or want to do a job that they did not sign up for. As a business owner, you have to be okay with that. Something, Megan, on this topic that we did that I think was really fun and worked really well was we intermixed hired guns and employees,
right.
and we positioned it to our employees as kind of a reward, right? If you can pass the test, we walked through basically like we were at a show multiple times a year, and we had people go through a whole presentation, a whole closing presentation, just to see what their approach would be like and actually practice the real thing. And we selected one or two employees to go work at each show with hired guns. And it worked really well for us for a couple of reasons. It taught our sales employees some different tactics and approaches that maybe they hadn't thought about or learned prior because those hired guns work all over the country, so they see things as well.
100%.
So it was kind of a cool learning experience for them, and it made them feel like they were working towards something. They were kind of pointed out amongst their peers as elevated in that way. There was always some extra fun incentives for people at offsite events, particularly because of how, difficult the days are and long the days are. We did fun different spiffs like first sale of the show, last sale of the show, paid in full, those sorts of things, just fun little like, you know, $50 for each thing or
Yeah,
$100 if you get, the most. We did like little kind of each thing was a star, like sell 3 in stock hot tubs or sell 2 things paid in full or use this financing and kind of like a bingo type scenario with a big spiff at the end. So it
yeah.
created some like fun competition, but you got to keep it fun to keep your people excited to be there.
Yeah, and I like the idea of, like, kind of earning your way or, to be able to even do it and kind of, like, make even kinda make that an exclusive thing to your employees, because, yeah, for the like, with the right attitude, I mean, you can make a lot of money at sale, right? And
Yeah.
so, like we said, it may not be for some people, but for the people who want to do that, it's like, yeah, like you're going to hone your skills, you're going to prove yourself, and then you're going to get chosen to be the special one to get to go work this event and have those opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. I have one more thing just as you were talking about that came to mind that I don't want to let fall through the cracks. I think this is really important. When you're doing an offsite event, whether it be a large home show or fair, or you're doing your own kind of tent sale offsite,
Mhm.
it is so important to make sure that your showrooms are fully staffed because
Yeah,
the buzz around the hot tub sale that's in town is not only creating buzz for the hot tub sale, it's creating buzz for hot tubs or pools or swim spas or whatever you sell. It's creating buzz around that big ticket item. And so don't allow somebody to walk into your showroom saying, "I heard there was a hot tub sale in town, but we wanted to come check. You guys are local, we wanted to come check with you guys first." make sure that that experience is a 5-star experience because you're not only trying to make money at the sale, you're just trying to make revenue for your company, right? You're trying
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
move units.
Right.
So nobody takes that day off. It's all hands on deck. You have all of your top performers in the showrooms. I mean, when we did fairs in Washington, that showroom put up huge numbers every
Mm,
single year, and we put up big numbers at the fair too, but the showroom particularly put up massive numbers because people were thinking about hot tubs. They had just come from the fair and saw all these hot tub dealers. We're
yeah.
like, we didn't want to buy there. It just didn't feel like, our thing. So we went into the showroom and bought there. So just really important to not leave that piece out.
Yeah. I'm sure I said this on the podcast before, but it bears repeating that my parents bought a hot tub at a fair when I was a kid.
I love that.
Isn't that funny? I mean, who would have thought that I'd end up in the hot tub industry and all of that? But
Full
yeah,
circle moment.
that's where they got their hot tub. We were at the fair and it was like, let's get one of those for the kids.
That's so funny. I have to ask, was it a planned purchase or was it like a
I
knee
don't
jerk thing?
I don't think so, but I mean, they did like build a deck and do a bunch of stuff for it to show up. So it's not like they just. So yeah, I'll have to ask them about that. I need the full story on how that hot tub ended up in our backyard. But yeah, that's how we got our hot tub. So
I love that. Yeah, I would love to hear the details of that story. I think it would be so interesting.
I think so too. I'll have to bug my mom about it later today and see what she remembers.
I love that.
You know what we haven't touched on? And I mean, again, this is going to depend a little bit on your market and the type of event, but I mean, what kind of budget should you be setting aside if you're going to be doing an offsite event to actually be able to make it successful?
Yeah. Oh man, it is so different. I think based on the region, based on the
Yeah.
competition, based on who's around, but I think there's a bit of trial and error in it, but I hate to say that, but there is. So some people find big success with radio and TV.
Hmm.
I think I've seen a lot of success in the last couple of years with streaming type commercials. If you want to go for more traditional
Yeah.
TV approach, the streaming subscription type commercials have been really good. And you can niche down a lot more in those type of atmospheres versus
Sure.
traditional television where yeah, they say they can niche down, but they can't. I mean they're not choosing who's logging in and who's seeing those commercials. It's just on.
Sure.
um, Social media obviously is a huge success, and I think that it's really price effective to put a huge message out there and do some paid ads. That seems to work really, really well. Retargeting works really well on the internet. And
Yeah.
then word of mouth, obviously. Word of mouth is a huge free way to do things. But I think budget, again, you have to look at ROI and you have to look at what's realistic to sell an event. You're going to have a goal,
Hmm.
your goal is the goal, but you got to get real with yourself about what you actually can see yourself selling and delivering out of that show. And then you just take your marketing percentage off of that, whether, 10% super aggressive, 5%
Yeah.
would be really reasonable off of the revenue that you can foresee yourself getting. Yeah, those are my thoughts
Yeah.
on marketing.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's going to depend a little bit on what it is, but I mean, how early should you start marketing an event? I mean, we're talking like the month of, weeks, or like months? I don't know.
Yeah, I would not start marketing more than 2 weeks. I would
Okay.
not send that message out more than 2 weeks in advance. 2 weeks is even like a little bit early.
Mhm.
The week before seems to be the best time to really pack a punch and go loud, go really, really loud because the problem is that all marketing costs money. And so
Right.
you don't want to stretch that money too far because then the message is just diluted and it's just brand awareness at that point. And we're not going for brand awareness. We are going for impactful, sales driven, value driven marketing. So the week of, it's on every station you turn to, it's on every social media that you pull up. When you pull up your phone, you're getting targeted ads for the thing that you feel like you never even said out loud. That's just popping up on your phone, right? That's what we want. And so to get the most bang for your buck really is within that week. And then a few days leading up to it, I always would start if you're having a weekend event, always start marketing on Tuesday or Wednesday. That's when people start to plan out what they're doing for the weekend.
Yeah.
Thursday's too late, so Tuesday or Wednesday seems to be good days to start like really, really hard hitting marketing.
Is there anything else that you would add for running a successful event? I'm really glad that we hit, the actual sales process as much as we did because I think that's something we don't talk about enough. So I think I'm really
Mhm.
glad that we talked about that quite a bit because I think that is, I mean, almost like kind of the most important part in all of this. So
Yeah, yeah, it's, a goal without a plan is just a wish. We say that all the time, and it's so true. Like, you can create these goals and you can have these conference room conversations, but if you don't get your salespeople excited, nothing's gonna happen. You're not the one selling it. You're not the one sitting in the showroom interacting with customers. So it's all in getting the salespeople really excited, and that comes from either a good sales manager, that comes from consulting, that comes from, I mean, it doesn't have to be internal in your business. You can hire consultants. We do consulting here at Evisys. We have a whole business consulting division where we can train on things like this. I mean, and I know you have some ideas for that too, Megan. So there's a lot of resources out there that can help to get your salespeople excited. But sometimes, to your point, it is bringing in a hired gun. It's bringing in someone else that's excited to reinvigorate people and get them excited. So there's a lot of value in that. The other thing that I think is just really important is you've got to have someone within your business, again, whether it's like a monthly consultant or your sales manager or just a top performing salesperson that's super peppy and excited to be there. You've got to have someone that's really passionate about creating theater, because that's what sales is.
hmm
Sales is creating a, a theatrical environment. It's about, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Coworker, I think that hot tub sold, but I'm not really sure. I think I saw something fly by my desk. Would you mind double checking that for me? Is it still available or not?" Like, having fun with it, with, your customers there and bringing them in on the fun. People want to be a part of that. Everybody just wants to have a good time and have this be a really enjoyable experience. And nobody got into the hot tub business because they wanted to get rich, right? Everybody got into the hot tub business because they want to have fun. And how cool does
yeah.
it sound to, sell hot tubs and pools and saunas and cold plunges? And that's fun. So just don't forget to have fun with it. Whatever that is, that's cheesy balloons in your showroom or bringing in, donuts or having like a fun themed event. Just don't forget to have fun.
Yeah, I mean that is so true and it's such a good reminder and a good way to end this because yeah, it's so easy to kind of get bogged down in the day-to-day. You're worried about performance, you're worried about numbers, you're worried about all of this stuff. Yeah, man, I kind of forget sometimes like the little things, they make it fun, especially like, get get out of your head and enjoy it. And man,
Mhm.
I probably needed that reminder a little bit today. So thank
We
you for
all
that.
do. Midweek pick me up.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Shauna, thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. I appreciate it. You talked a little bit about software and about how Lou can help, but yeah, I mean, we'll remind people that that is definitely an option to help you keep all of this stuff organized and to have successful events. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Lou is a great solution for people who need a source of truth, who want their business to be all in one, who want to communicate well across all of their departments. And it's cloud based. So if you want to go take a vacation to Asia or the Bahamas and check in on your business, you can, as long as you have internet. And I just want to say, I know we don't talk about this often as a company, so there's probably a lot of people in the audience that don't know, but we do offer consulting as a company. We have people inside of the building of Evisys that has not only worked in software so we can help with, the technology stack within your business, but have also served a lot of time in the industry with
Yeah.
top performing manufacturers and dealers and have owned their own companies. So if you do want some assistance or you're like, yeah, we could really use some sales training or we could really use some, you know, help with creating some business processes or SOPs. That's definitely something we provide. And software just helps you to keep it all straight and make
Yeah.
sure that you have time to have fun.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I had no idea. So
Yeah,
now we all know.
totally. Well, it
All
was
right.
such a pleasure, Megan. It's always so much fun talking with you and you have such a wealth of knowledge to share with everybody. So it's always fun picking your brain as well.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. And I'm glad you came back on and I'm sure we'll do it again.
The Spa Retailer Podcast is a production of Spa Retailer Magazine. Let us know what you think by leaving a review or emailing us at podcast@sparetailer.com. Thanks for listening.